Alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar. Dear brothers and sisters, continuing again with chapter number 30. And the evidence and proofs Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is given us, and the clarifications Allah has given us, so we can submit, so we can believe, so we can succeed, so we can change what is going on wrong around us. Yesterday we talked about the will of Allah. He said, وَلَهُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Everything belongs to Him. And His command, وَكُلٌّ لَهُ قَانِتُونَ, means everyone, each one of us cannot object, cannot stop His will. A person cannot control what he will earn tomorrow, because today he might die and doesn't go to his work tomorrow, for example. A person cannot control what his life will end tomorrow or not. You can be on a plane and a plane crash can happen. A person cannot control so many things in his life. These are things God have predestined. There is part of it has to do with our will, of our free will. We have choices, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given the human being the choice in a lot of things, either to believe or disbelieve, either to be grateful or ungrateful, either to use his mind and brain and intelligence to know that there is God and believe in this God and obey this God, or to reject. All of these are done in a way which to test us, to see who will succeed and who will fail. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, كُلُّ لَهُ قَانِتُونَ. That means everybody, he is a surrenderer to His will. For example, tomorrow, today I own a stock, maybe $1 million worth of stock. Tomorrow, I don't know. Maybe that company, something will happen. The stock crashes. So instead of me being rich, tomorrow the company files for bankruptcy, and then I own zero. So everything is in His control. We have no choices in a lot of things. وَهُوَ الَّذِي يُبْدِئُ الْخَلْقَ ثُمَّ يُعِيدُهُ. He is the one who starts the creation. He started Adam. From Adam, everybody came. A company, for example, Tesla, for example, give or make one Cybertruck. You don't think that this company can replicate the same product on a large scale? Of course they can. And the same thing, God is telling us this, that He have started Adam from scratch. So He's telling to everybody who doesn't believe in resurrection, to everybody who doesn't believe that God will bring us back, because people think their body, if you bring a corpus, a dead person who died 100 years ago out of his grave, you probably will find like maybe skeleton, few bones. People think, wow, how we will be brought back after we become like few bones. That is why God is addressing us. He's using our intelligence. He's using us. He wants us to think. Adam was nothing. He created him from scratch. Okay. So I will bring everybody else for resurrection from the same way I've created Adam. It's not hard. It's a very, very, very possible. And it's very assured because he created one, he can create billions the same way. وهو أهون على, indeed it's very easy. Yes, it is very easier for him to do it. Same thing with the company. The hardest product is the first one. But after they know the way to do the first one, what will happen? Everything comes automatically after that. وله المثل الأعلى في السماوات والأرض. Allah is trying to tell us here that anything on earth, you try to compare it to God, that God is perfect, and anything else has deficiency. For example, let's take the human being. Number one, we forget. God doesn't forget. Number two, we need food because we get hungry. And if we don't eat, we're going to be weak and we'll die. God doesn't need food. God doesn't need water. God does not need anything. We feel tired, we have to sleep for our biological well-being, for our health, for our ability to think clearly, we need to sleep. But God is, since God is forever, He's awake. He doesn't sleep. We has, in one way or another, depend on others. And sometimes these things or these individuals who depend on, we cannot change. God does not depend on anybody. God does not depend on anybody. Because He creates, He can change, He can do whatever He wants. We tend to age by time. God does not age by time. We tend to have change in mood, in behavior, psychological distress, psychological problems. God has none of those. He's perfect. We have limited ability. An example, we can see with our eyes what the objects reflects the light. When the objects reflect the light, we can see. That's how we see. Imagine there is no light, we cannot see. A tiny bacteria, a tiny virus, we're unable to detect it with our eyes. We have limited abilities in terms of processing. If I give you an equation, have 100 digits to process, will you be able to process it without a computer, without even taking time? We're limited. We have deficiencies. And that's why we need to understand that the wisdom, that the intelligence, that the reason God do things, in a lot of times you can know some of it, but a lot of it you're not going to grasp it because we're limited. And that's come to the main thing Allah's addressing here. is, as a human, you're weak. You have deficiencies. And God is superior, perfect, complete. So number one here, God is not a human. God cannot be a human. God has no sons, has no daughters. So Jesus is not a son of God, because Jesus is a human. God is totally different. And we have to understand that God is trying to tell us that each and everything, we cannot underestimate God's power, because His power is so overwhelming and we are so weak. I'll tell you why He sends the wind, the fire, the hurricane, the earthquake, is to remind us. He's telling us, this is just a few of my soldiers I'm sending to you to wake you up. Wake up. These are just small things. If I show you my real power, you're not going to be able to stand for a second. And the reason is, any person who has the intellect, the mental power to think, and I'll give you an example. You have SWAT team from the FBI coming to arrest somebody. If that person, they're surrounding the whole place, they have all kind of weapons, they have all kind of gears. If that person started to resist, will that be a good solution, a good action to do, to resist? No. You have to surrender, because you cannot overcome that power. And that's why we have to submit totally to God. Means to think about every action. Why are we doing it? Is it for God or for something else? We have to think about every single second. Are we wasting it for God? Are we wasting it for something else? Or are we spending for God? Brothers and sisters, and that's what comes submission. That's the Islam means submission. To submit, just to follow, obedient, be obedient to God at all time. Follow the orders. You'll be saved. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر